really shocking to see, because if we look at other regions, as soon as that Rise goes through and is available, they snatch it up as best.
So the reason why we don't see Rise favored, there was actually a game last week where I think it was KT Rolster drafted Rise and Fiora, and it was just too greedy. Rise doesn't have great wave control. He can definitely be dived early. If you're going to be putting all your eggs in snowballing top lane, going for any risk in the mid lane is often too much risk. So it's felt that Rise just hasn't fit a lot of the situations where he's available, and teams aren't willing to first pick and build around Rise. So the end result is, crazily, 2 games, 2 Rise games, neither picked nor banned. Is crazy for a champion that's been right at the top of the tier list for quite a few months.
Yep. Well, a lot of respect being shown to Mickey here. Going to be Azir and Twisted Fate banned out by them. Double jungle bans coming through from Afreeca.
And Afreeca's like, give us Nidalee.
Yeah,
we want to first pick Nidalee, and if you have to ban Nidalee, there is a whole hell of a lot available.
Now there is. Could be the Vladimir snatched up for Mickey, so
Vlad versus
playing
Nidalee.
the gamut, and they're coming out on top of this one right now, as far as we can tell.
Look, Vladimir is by no means a free win champion, and Afreeca in that awkward spot where you could get Vladimir plus Sivir on the KT side in exchange for a Nidalee.
This is smart. Okay, so they actually banned the Karma, so Vladimir gets first pick. Now Score can take the Nidalee.
Score is an excellent Nidalee. He's only played it once this season, didn't die, won MVP. Famously in an interview, he said the champion is broken, you have to pick it whenever it's available. Let's see if he behooves his own words. This was from last season. Nidalee's been nerfed a lot since then, but is still Sin as the strongest of the jungle pool. They first picked Sivir in Game 2, and they didn't get much value out of it. It was a great pick in Game 1. It's been a great pick in general for Arrow, but you have to deny away the Sivir movement speed from Vladimir.
Yeah. Also, did first round draft that for themselves in Game 1 when they had the Vladimir.
I think you take Trundle here if you're KT Rolster. You're willing to flex it to support. The reason why I say you take Trundle is it's a great disengage pick, and it's a blocker pick away from Linderon.
I think getting the Sivir is fine to keep it away from the hands of the Vladimir, and then of course you want that Nidalee so they don't get the Vladimir.
I was overlooking the Nidalee. I think you have to take it, like you mentioned.
Yeah, maybe
Trundle,
maybe in the second round, then go for the Trundle and leave that last pick for the flex top support.
Absolutely. Oversight from me, the Nidalee has to be secured, so that makes sense. The Sivir, did it have to be taken in the first round? Yes, because of the Vladimir. We'll never know about Game 2, where Sivir was the overall first pick of the draft. That seemed like a reach, and that kind of was confirmed in how the game went. But Sivir is a takeaway pick, and Nidalee just based on pure power. It's always a treat to see Score on that champion, and now action onto Afreeca. What do they do about the Trundle situation, though? Do they feel the need to draft it in this round? Snowflower isn't extensively known for the support Trundle, but it's a pretty straightforward pick, and it definitely could be a consideration for Afreeca.
Well, right now, hovering for the jungle and the AD carry. What with the Rek'Sai and the Ashe in that last game, Lyra did play one hell of a Rek'Sai. The repeat ganks on to Someday, really just hammering in that lead for Linderon. We can see it is going to be Ashe and Rek'Sai locked in for them, and now immediate hover over Aurelion Sol for Fly.
I don't know about Aurelion Sol in the Vladimir matchup. You think about where we've seen Aurelion Sol, it's been Azir and Karma this season have been the big picks where we've seen Aurelion Sol run. Moving away for now, will we see Fly visit the Rise that has been available but not selected multiple games in a row? And if they take Rise, will they fall into the trap that they themselves brought upon themselves of the Rise Fiora in the previous draft? Because you have to think Afreeca will just snap up Trundle and take whatever matchup they end up with.
It's quite possible, but they're holding true to the hover over this Rise so far. Hachani having Arrow flip through a couple different options. Right now resting on the Alistar, something that's certainly fallen out of favor in recent patches, but looks like it will be Rise and Alistar locked up here for KT. So interesting draft, moving towards some stuff that we didn't really expect from them.
I think Trundle will certainly be drafted on the side of Afreeca. It would be a surprise not to see it. The support pick's a bit more open in the air. Considering going for Irelia.
That's a really bold move when Trundle's available for Someday.
And we always say things like this. Whenever you have a player who is famed for a champion and the enemy team's like, maybe we'll take this away. It's like, I don't know about this one.
I mean, the other thing that I really would love to see if this Aurelia gets locked in for Linderon is the Renekton counter pick for Someday up in the top lane. We saw Smeb play it. It went really well. I forget who was. I think it was against Uwe. I want to say.
I think you're correct. Yes.
And I would love to see this one come out for someday. It's been ages since he's played the Renekton now.
Will they go with the Aurelia? Lock it in. Okay, so this is bold. It does, as you say, really lead to the potential of something like the Renekton, or maybe we'll go skill match territory, because
you touched on this one before.
Someday loves to Fiora people, but this exact draft is what got KT in trouble. It's certainly a strong draft. Having the Nidalee there makes it more powerful. When we've seen Hecarim versus Aurelia, it's gone really well for the Hecarim, but this is Someday. You have to think Fiora is the expected pick, or will he dial it back?
Please, yes, Someday. Hachani, I don't care what he's saying to you in your ear, just lock it in. Let him deal with it.
Renekton would also make some sense in conjunction with the Ryze. It's an early game power pick to allow the Ryze to scale.
As well as it goes deeper in. If you get the arrow onto the Renekton, he'll be tanky enough in the late game to eat it, and it gets locked in. Someday on the I don't know if he's an alligator or a crocodile. The lizard man, we'll say. In the top lane, Renekton coming back out.
This draft just makes so much more sense than the other options they moused over. You have someone with an on-demand stun with Nidalee jungle, so the gank pressure onto the lane is immense. You have someone who's powerful in the early game. Sivir can wave clear, Renekton can apply pressure, and Ryze can scale. So compared to the Ryze Fiora comp they ran before, there's a lot more smartness about the power spikes. They're more scattered. They're not all into the late game that honestly has been tricky for them to get to. So I like the draft from KT, but there's never any inevitability about a Renekton build. We've seen Renektons go big, and we've seen Renektons go home. So can they actually get the 1v1 matchup? Level 1 could actually be critical here, because the difference between Renekton and a lane swap and Renekton actually getting to apply pressure in a short lane with a turret behind him and a potential turret to dive in front of him is very different.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I am extremely excited. We're getting two very powerful picks on the side of KT Rolster. Someday with his Renekton, and then Nidalee for score. Yet again, something he has not been able to get his hands on for quite a while. Makes it through the draft. And looking at this, KT, Ryze, Nidalee on the same team. They've come out pretty well from that pick ban.
It's a really strong draft against the Aurelia. Expected when you do draft Aurelia against an Aurelia specialist like Someday. But 2v2 is always the case when it's an Aurelia matchup. Lyra decided top lane in game 2. He's going to have to try and do it again, because otherwise Score and Someday could really run away with this game. Yeah,
Aurelia and Trundle, very different champions. We'll see how Linderong is going to come out on this very carry-heavy top. Let's go ahead and get right into game 3. All right. Oh, it just had to happen. All right. Well, we got triple Mountain Drake into an Infernal in game 2. I suppose we can go ahead and start one of them with a Cloud Drake. But here we go. On to Summoner's Rift for game 3. Tied 1-1 between Afreeca Freecs and KT Rolster, who want to maintain that first place spot. Afreeca trying to climb out of that pit that they've been in, known as 7th place.
And to reiterate, the storyline of this season, KT's run of 5 consecutive best-of-3 wins started with beating Afreeca. They had lost 2 series in a row. It looked like another one of those seasons where KT would flat out to deceive, but they came back strong in that series. They won it comfortably 2-0 and have not lost a series since. They've dropped isolated games, even against weaker opposition like CJ Entus. But now they're bringing back the Renekton, and we talked about the importance of level 1, and so far it looks like Afreeca in a good spot to get that lane swap.
Moving them up. Meanwhile, it's going to be Score and Someday working their way through the jungle. So, in all likelihood, this could just be a tower swap between both of these teams.
Afreeca have done this a lot this season. They're looking for the cheese.
Oh boy, yep, just sitting in the brush. Someday hasn't spotted anyone yet. Of course, this is a Braum, and they can very easily get the sun out. Here they come straight in with the exhaust. Someday only taking that Q. He gets stunned up. Flashes away. Might actually be able to get out of this one. And he will get out with his life, but barely so. Flash down for him, and that's going to make laning very, very difficult for him.
But will there be laning? Flashes in these jungle follows, in these lane swap scenarios are a little bit lower. Now, Afreeca may once again try to force there to be 2v2 lanes after the first turret goes down, then they will be relevant.
True.
But really nice play from Afreeca. Sangyun cancelled one auto attack, but he didn't actually have kill pressure. So all in all, nice play. Chani does his best to steal and actually does have some experience.
Yeah, he gets a good amount of harass down onto Lyra as well. You can see rotate up to the top side for Linderong as they try to get onto those towers. Sivir with the wave clear might be just a little bit faster, but overall looked at everything crashing pretty much at the same time.
You won't get a replay of the top lane because no kills went down, but the smart thing Afreeca did was they waited. They waited so long. The moment that Someday actually committed to the minion wave, they figured he had skilled Q. They saw it as they came out of the brush, and they're like, wow, we have serious kill pressure. That's why they opened with Exhaust and the flash auto attack and Q from Rom. They didn't quite get the kill, but it was that waiting game that got them the maximum out of that situation.
The only issue that's going to be there is, though, is time wasted by Sangyun not CSing, which gives a bit of a lead over to Arrow on the other side of things, who's up by about 8. So it's not the end of the world. Getting that flash down from Someday is certainly going to be a very important thing, but it doesn't come completely free.
Said the early game was about holding back the Renekton, and you have to say, successful on that regard, even if they've had to. Even if it's come at a cost, it's one of those shallower costs. No kills, no summoner spells on the Ashe, so in general, pretty damn good start for Afreeca Freecs.
And we get those towers traded out in top and bottom side. Gold just really separated by a couple hundred right now. Difference really going to be building up in that mid.
But this is the smart thing Afreeca does, is they're going to force 2v2. They want to go up top. They're willing to overextend a little bit for it, but to actually get Aurelia in a lane against a Renekton without flash. Renekton does have, of course, the dashes, especially if a minion wave is there. Yeah. But there is kill pressure now because of that lack of summoner if Rek'Sai does path to bottom lane. So KT had to start pushing just to match tempo, but Afreeca are pretty happy it has come. They can freeze. They're in, once again, a really smart spot. And this is 2 games in a row, and I think teams could really look to this because there is definitely, in many scenes, a lot of mindless turret trading. And if you can get a big advantage from swapping back, that could be significant, as Mickey takes a lot of damage, but was never realistically going to go down.
Yeah, still has a Sanguine pull there. And of course, just an immense amount of it innate sustain. Spear going to come over the wall, but Mickey does spot him with the Tremor Sense, so is able to juke out. Score going to clear a couple of these tunnel systems and rotate over to this top side where the bottom lane of Afreeca is still hovering nearby. Lyra's in the vicinity. Could help turn around a gank should one come out. But looks like that's just going to send Score back into the jungle. Get him farmed up, get that first jungle item in, and then he can really start wreaking havoc around the map.
This time Lyra wasn't actually interested in helping out the Aurelia, so looks like the flashless Someday will not go punished. Score instead is going to be clearing the jungle, and Lyra spent most of his time just trying to protect on the top side, possibly because the Vlad got so low in mid lane.
Yeah, and I'm sure Someday is going to be very grateful for that reprieve, because he goes back. Looks like he's going to be looking for the Titanic Hydra, given the items so far.
Could be Black Cleaver as well.
Could just go straight for a Black Cleaver, that's true. It does synergize extremely well.
Tiamat's always been a required item on Renekton though, so probably going to have to be the Titanic Hydra.
Oh, well, trade going back into mid side. Fly gets some double root down onto Mickey.
Then runs
won't
out of
answer out, but he's out of mana, so not going to be able to follow up too heavily. And of course, Mickey is just Vladimir, so he's going to be safe to stick around. But Fly going to have to focus and try to get a little bit more CS in. Has been hovering 14 minions down so far in this lane.
We don't see a lot of Renekton, so I'll go over the famous interaction that makes Tiamat a required item on Renekton. It's famously that when you apply your W as Renekton, the stun, if you're not familiar, the Ruthless Predator, I believe it's called.
Yes, it is.
There's a mini stun on yourself as you do it, and activating Tiamat cancels you out of that animation and allows you to move. So you get an extra auto attack in. You can potentially kite forwards or backwards during the CC effect, which is only very short unless it's empowered. So Tiamat is never an item that you can skip as Renekton because it's so core in his animation canceling and in his kit.
I think that when Smeb played it, he actually didn't go for the Tiamat. If I'm remembering correctly, he might have gotten it late,
He built it
But
late,
I know
believe
that
it
he didn't get it first item. He went for
What
the
does
black
Smev know about top lane anyway?
I don't know. Just probably nothing, just garbage player.
Well, we were VOD reviewing from 2013, and that's when Smev was definitely some of those things.
Well,
Mickey actually went really aggressive on the fight. His Ghost is traded for Fly's only escape. That's a really good trade for Mickey.
yeah, very good. Getting that flash down on the rise. So good aggression by Mickey, and that shoves Fly back out of lane. Does not have the TP available yet, so he's going to have to waddle back, and he's just going to fall that much further behind in CS. Now about 20 down.
Not many junglers that actually want to gank for a Vladimir lane, but the guaranteed CC of the flash on Burrow, and they force the pressure out as Score just tries to steal away the blue. I'm actually not clear where it went.
I think it went to Lyra. Wait, no, it did not.
Did it actually go to Vladimir?
It must have. Unless it's invisible.
It disappeared.
It could be a hidden feature.
Oh, another hidden feature?
I think we might have found one.
Well, blue buff's gone, guys. I guess maybe one of the supports got it?
I think I just saw it on Score on our second monitor.
Nice.
Yep, he does have it. So it's on this main monitor.
Our production monitor lies to you. We do not have...
Spectator 1 is a liar. Spectator 2 shows the truth.
Maybe
But he shows it about 4 seconds earlier.
Spectator 2 is just a big purveyor of the hidden feature.
Yeah. But all right, so it did in fact go away to Score. Because that was really confusing as to how Mickey would have been able to get that blue buff. But
It rises at the point where the mana pool's not going to be an issue as Lyra.
oh, yep, something going to get jumped on. Has that ultimate available. Does use the dominance, but the TP's coming through from Fly, and Linderong's already really low. Flashes in, but the root comes through. That will be a flash forward by Lyra to follow up, get a kill, but Fly has plenty of damage. Shawnee and Arrow on the way, already popped on the hunt. Score trying to cover for the wall, but he tail jumps, has to flash over, throws a javelin. It's not going to connect. So that was a bit of a botch play there by the Nidalee, but overall, that is going to be KT coming up with first blood, but still suffering a loss onto Someday in the end.
It looked like more invested by Afreeca, so that's a slight win for KT, but it's only one summoner we're talking about, and Sungyun gets free time on the top minion wave. 10 CS advantage, nothing to write home about, but we'll deny a bit of CS to Someday.
Yep. Arrow really far forward, does have the rest of his team, or a couple members, resting above him as that spear does land onto Linderong right as he dashes through, takes about half of his HP in damage, but has that disrupting potion available, so he'll chug up on that, and he'll get healthy yet again and maintain that wave by the tier 2 tower.
Phage is the second item, which again could be Black Cleaver, but it's worth noting that it would just be building in as Ash Arrow.
Yep, Arrow comes out, but Fly's going to juke out on that. Lyra dashes forward, but is unable to find the knock-up, and Afreeca are going to be sent packing as far as that gank goes. Fly finally starting to crawl back a little bit with this wave. It's only going to separate about 8 minions, I believe, between him and Mickey, so is making good use of his time to equalize that gold as much as he can.
Still has flash down for it's about a minute and a half, so with double summoners up on Mickey, still a chance that Lyra could pull off a turret dive in the mid lane. For now, though, just farming his topside jungle.
Yep. We will get this 2v2 yet again in the bottom side as Arrow comes in to face Song. Ian's been falling behind a little bit, has the cull, so we'll get a good burst of gold once that's finished stacking, which should be pretty close. I can't really read the number. Mickey though going to get jumped on, throws down that emo plague on the Fly. Lyra's waiting in the wings. He's going to get a good little burst of health back from that pop, and he will remain safe. Achani roaming up toward this mid side will get spotted by the ward, and they're not going to be able to find a pick.
Yeah, yes, use the lesser of his 2 escape summoners, the Ghost, which only has that 3-minute cooldown after the last tinkering of the summoner spells.
But Emo Plague's down as well, so that does open up Fly for a bit of heavy-handed trading.
He's had a couple of little things that went his way. When we saw the counter kill and bot, Lyra had to flash to get the answering kill, so suddenly you feel a bit safer as Rise. Now the Ghost being down, you feel that a little bit safer. It's time to get that CS back as Linderong.
Yeah, Linderong up front here. Somebody goes in, gets the stun. They chunk him out. They go deep underneath the tower. They're going to tank that one up there for Someday, and they take down the Aurelia. Nicely played by KT, and just good sneaking gank by Score to find themselves their second kill.
But it's a sort of gank that was smart, and a sort of gank that was not on display in Game 2.
Yeah.
They're finally pushing up a big wave. Aurelia wants to claim it. Ashar is going to go. That was just a hawk shot,
Yeah,
sorry.
just a hawk shot. It was Lyra and Snowflower roaming up. Thought maybe they try to go for something, but
there's no damage.
yeah,
there.
no roam coming out from Mickey, so they're not going to be able to find any real action up top.
But Aurelia always wants to surf onto the wave to start getting those last hits. You can just Q onto the ranged minions to get the reset on the ability, but punished instantly by the Nidalee. Nice play someday. Used his flash. They guaranteed the kill. Again, that was absent in Game 2, and they paid for it in that 1v1 matchup. But on full display in Game 2.
Yep.
In Game 3, sorry.
Doing a really good job. See Fly completing the Rod of Ages now, so still keeping pace with Mickey's that we saw on his Kassadin early on, so it's going to be about 23 minutes, 22 and a half or so before that item becomes fully stacked. Spirit Visage has been completed by the Vladimir, so he's going to be soaking up a good amount of damage that this Ryze can output, but with the amount of spells that he can spam, it's still going to hurt quite a bit. Lyra walks forward, gets the ward down. This time we can see the blue buff. It does go over to the Rek'Sai, so nice little takeaway there.
It's another blue buff denied from the Ryze. It stops him from being able to shove with the increased ult cooldown. Suddenly the wave clear is not great for the Ryze. As you mentioned, the tier comes closer. At the same time, they get the turret low, but they can't take it down just yet.
Oh, well, someday she's going to get locked up by that arrow right into the relational pitcher, but he gets stun onto Linderong, and a huge amount of damage coming through. They lock up Songyun. He's going to go down. Score finds Zakiel. Meanwhile, Fly taking down Linderong, and everybody's just following suit. The Javelin not going to land. But they find 3 off the back of that TP play. They're going to equalize that turret in mid. And KT come out wildly on top of that trade.
Just really smart fighting while Renekton is still incredibly far ahead of Aurelia. Renekton can pop his ult, do AoE damage, has gone for so many early stats in the Phage and the Warhammer. And Linderong's still building up. Linderong's still very squishy. And the Renekton being able to out-team fight the early damage from Score and to blow this game open for KT.
Yeah. They might finally turn their attention to this lonely Cloud Drake. 14 and a half
Arrow's
minutes.
like, I'm not interested in that.
Yeah. You deal with that. I'm not going to do anything. Fly just flashing away from that arrow off the bat.
They use so many resources just to slow down someday, and he's still in the middle of the team, doing a lot of damage.
He's got
so
Dominus.
many early stats. Exactly. Dominus is popped. Afreeca very overextended. Remember, they don't even kill the 1 HP outer mid lane turret. Baited in by a really nice lane ward from KT.
Yeah. Oh, wow, you're right. I thought that turret did go down, but
nope.
Yeah, so KT definitely coming out on top of that one now. Not 2.3. So, okay, Mickey does walk back up and finish it off with a couple autos and the help of that wave. But even so, KT Rolster going to find themselves with a bit of a gold lead here. Up 4 kills, even in turrets, and now having that Cloud Drake at their disposal. Didn't catch a glimpse of what the next one will be, so next time we glance over top of that Dragon Pit, we'll have to take a look.
Really love to see Infinity Edge first. It's probably going to be the Essence Reaver from Arrow, but an Infinity Edge crit profiting off a rushed Black Cleaver from Renekton, who instantly applies all those stacks, would be deletion damage, but perhaps doesn't even need to invest so much into the IE. Such will be the armor penetration shred from Renekton. Difficult for Linderong to enter lane. Look at the trades here. They're going to be super one-sided.
Yeah,
He's looking for a
difficult
kill.
is one thing. Yeah, someday going to go ahead pop. The Dominus is eating that turret.
I
would say finish off the turret. Has full rage though, and look at the damage. All right, someday. I'm sorry for doubting you. You do whatever the hell you want.
Well,
he just
either that was intentional or it worked anyway. I'm going to say intentional. We'll give the benefit of the doubt to someday, the god of Renekton. He didn't clean the turret, and you're like, wait, what's going on here? But that trade damage with full rage was insane.
Yeah, that was a ridiculous amount as he just punches him in the face and knocks him out. He says, welcome to Earth.
I mean, that's probably pretty fair to Linderong, who had his way with Someday in the previous game, and now the shoe's very much on the other foot. 3-1 and 3. Trinity, sorry, the Black Cleaver into almost the Ravenous Hydra. Trinity Force completed for Linderong, but already a difficult matchup to begin with on paper, and certainly not one that's going to go smoothly for Linderong on this Aurelia.
All right, well, this is topical for today. Here's the movie. Have you seen Independence Day?
No.
Oh, my God. Really?
I've seen Men in Black.
Right.
That's got Will Smith in it.
The other Will Smith and Aliens movie?
Yeah. 1 out of 2.
Well, that explains why you didn't catch my welcome to Earth.
I saw Men in Black 2 as well. It wasn't great.
No, it wasn't.
I didn't see 3.
I heard 3 was actually really good.
Well, I haven't seen I can't vouch for
Okay,
that.
maybe not really good, but I heard that it was good.
Come on, we have to be very clear with our verbs on this broadcast.
Okay, but how about this? Have you seen? This, I swear this does coincide. Have you seen 21 Jump Street?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, they're actually making 23 Jump Street, and it's going to be an official crossover with Men in Black.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the third
so we get
Jump Street movie,
Channing,
right?
Yeah, so we get Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill fighting aliens as they become part of a Men in Black initiative.
There's going to be some interesting tone in that movie.
With
I assume
Ice
this is
Cube.
going to be
That
a
movie's
comedy.
going to be amazing. It's going to be a very strongly toned film as far as Men in Black goes, because they are usually lighter films. But meanwhile, KT pushing in for this tier 2. Somebody's just going to go deep, gets on to Linderong, almost takes him down, dashes forward with Slicing Dice, and is able to finish him off. Meanwhile, Hachani from the backside gets a double pulverized Snowflower with the Unbreakable, looking like he's going to go down, but they just turn straight onto Mickey to pay more attention to him first. Fly's able to pick up the kill. Lear comes in, Fly's taking up this tower. He's going to go down to this last shot, I think he does. But KT use him as a sacrificial lamb, and they take down the remaining members in the area. Snowflower able to limp out with his life, but they take 3 more plus the tier 2, and they are looking so very strong. The only problem is it's so early in the game they can't even go do Baron.
That is a pretty crazy thing. They just know their power. They know exactly their damage output. Someday is a veteran of Renekton play. Ryze piles on. They have all this Pixie C Alistair combo, the Renekton W, and the Ryze root. And then when they go down, they have the early items because they've snowballed to pick up these kills, not worry about turrets. Fly dies, but it's certainly no big loss given all the gains they picked up. That's the outer turret down as well. Now 4,000 gold. KT in full control.
Yeah, this is such a turnaround from both game 1 and 2.
It's in 3 very different games, I think, if you track back.
A massive throw from Afreeca.
Sure.
Strong dominance from Afreeca.
Yep.
And now strong dominance from KT.
The random sampler.
If we had another game, you know, if this was a best of 5, then we could see the strong.
We don't
we
need
can see the
best
big
of 5
throw.
regular
You can
seasons
see
over here.
the big throw from KT Rolster.
We've got 6 days a week. We don't need best of 5 regular seasons. We cannot do that, Achilles.
I know. I'm just happy as long as we don't have ties.
I mean, we're wearing a tie. Does that count?
No.
Okay.
This is piggyback clothes.
Ah, yes.
It doesn't count.
We have regular ties.
Oh boy, someday though. Well, Slice and Dice won't get him away from that arrow. Linderong's trying to chase in. The stun someday he's not scared. He's just going to go right back up, try to take down the Aurelia. Lyra's there, but he just doesn't give a damn.
Bring me more people.
Yeah. Ah, yes, more of you wishing to sacrifice yourself to me.
Someday is a raid boss at this point. 2 items,
he
Titanic
is.
Hydra, Black Cleaver is just insane bursts of damage. You only have Ninja Tabi for defensive stats on
That would be a
the
good
Aurelia.
series of skins. Raid boss. They have final boss Viger.
That's fair.
So why not do like raid boss?
It's a good question. I don't have an answer to you.
I think that would be really good. Just start making them for all of the Juggernaut characters.
Ah, yes, the Juggernaut characters that are also relevant. Like Garen. Bring him back. Darius, another Juggernaut.
I miss old Garen.
Do you?
I do. I liked old Garen more than I like new Garen because they gave him a cool mechanic and then they nerfed him into the ground. So it's
His
just like,
enemy
cool, I
thing.
can't enjoy that new mechanic. I would rather have my old Garen that was very situationally okay.
You mean the Riven situation? Well, he was pretty good against Riven.
Renekton used to be the he was the crocodile hunter to the Renekton of the top lane. There's always a Garen waiting in the brush.
That's true.
That's the big worry. Mountain Drake was the second he goes down. It's going to be another Cloud Drake here. And one can only assume that it will be picked up by KT, or maybe even just ignored, because right now they're on a warpath to close out this game fairly quickly.
They have good scaling from the Ryze, so it's not like they're on a timer, but their power is just such at an epicenter at this point.
Oh, Lyra
Thinks
waiting
he's
in the
safe,
brush.
he's not.
Yeah, he gets stunned up. Doesn't get the pop-up on the Someday, who dashes back, just trying to secure this blue buff. Achani coming around the side, does fine. Mickey pops him up, takes a good chunk of damage from the transfusion. Arrow gets hit up, however, it's going to be straight into the Hemo Plague, and now the TP coming in from Fly in the backside. Mickey goes in deep. Can he find the kill? Achani is going to go down to the Ash, who's just firing off this volley. Saw him able to find a triple kill. Now it's going to be Score and Arrow just trying to retreat as best as they can, but Afreeca Freecs feeling confident enough to go over to this Baron with Someday and Fly dead.
Can Afreeca actually zone score away? He got in smite range as Gragas before they turned around to fight. He's an over-level over Lyra, so there's a real chance of a steal.
There was the one javelin, finds Linderong. Linderong still just tanking up in the face, and Score cannot go in for the steal. Actually, probably would have got it with that early smite there from Lyra, but Afreeca Freecs coming back in, getting 2 kills, and now a Baron.
Just at a swing that no one could have seen coming. The big story there was Mickey was able to bait out the spell shield from Sivir, and then Ashe could just instantly arrow her. They took her down even though she was on the backside. She had 0 health, couldn't be involved in the fight, and Sungyun was free hitting as Katie ran away. Early spell shield really cost Arrow. Very nice enchanted crystal arrow from Sungyun. That was difficult to explain, but Hachani takes free damage. And compared to every other fight where it was Someday deciding when they were going in, the Ashe arrow came through. Sungyun free hitting in the backline with the Hurricane. No real armor purchased yet for Someday or anyone on the side of KT. Big win for Afreeca, but certainly not enough yet to put them in the driver's seat.
Yeah, but that was a really massive turnaround and definitely gives them an opportunity to come back into this game. Of course, going up against that Mountain Drake from KT, certainly going to make things difficult, but having that Baron, having those empowered waves to push back, stave off sieges from KT, it's really going to buy some crucial time here for Afreeca Freecs to farm up and get these big items that they need to try to come back into the game. You can see Songyun with that Infinity Edge and the Hurricane ripping through the members of KT, finding that triple kill. It was looking like he might have been able to get the Penta, as Arrow was extremely low in all of that, but just couldn't find the opening onto him or Score, as they were able to successfully retreat. But wow, what a turnaround coming in, and now 2.7 thousand gold, all that's separating these teams when KT was just ahead by about 5,000.
And Someday's certainly not interested in building any armor. You can see components of a Phage as his next purchase. So for now, no sign of a Randuin's that's desperately needed. Score won't be able to itemize armor. Armor will come later for Fly. There's not been a single cloth armor picked up on the side of KT, and that means that Songyun is deleting people.
He could be going for a Stair Exchange.
Again, armor is just so important here, though.
I agree. I just don't think that he's going to be getting a Phage for a Triforce.
You're right. But still, at this point...
But your point stands.
The longsword is clogging up his infantry. That could be a cloth armor. That could be a chain vest. Even a Guardian Angel would be something.
Yeah.
And Void Staff is already almost completed for Fly. That will be his next 1,300 gold. If they choose any fights and can't find a way to take out Songyun, I mean, Hurricane, Infinity Edge, now the Zeal, Songyun will cut through the front line of KT Rolster.
As displayed, he's definitely having a strong performance here on this Ashe. 3-1-0, having over half of their kills. Arrow's been participating, but hasn't been able to secure any for himself.
Secret Agent Arrow, 007.
Yeah, just hitting them from the shadows with ricochets. Getting his assists in. Arrow gets used, and just checking the brush. I guess Hawkshot was on cooldown.
But this is smarter from KT. You notice in the bot lane, Aurelia just has to sit under turret. She doesn't have the vision. She certainly can't walk up to Someday, so that armor...
He will destroy her.
Exactly. That armor not consequential for Someday in the split push. It's only in the 5v5s where they find a way to trivialize Arrow that Afreeca can repeat the fight that we just saw from them.
Yeah. Someday is closing in on the Flame Horizon.
I mean, 4-2 and 6 means he's got a lot of kill credit, so he's pretty close to doubling the gold of this Aurelia one way or the other.
Oh, very strong, showing down by a little over 25 at the moment to cross that mark. But with the waves crashing in to Linderong, I don't think we'll see it. But this is good from KT, though. They're buying time. They're not getting aggressed on by Afreeca Freecs. And you can see the Baron buff has expired, so they weathered the storm. Afreeca weren't able to pick up any of really objectives off of the back of that take. And all they're really going to get for it is just a little bit of gold.
I kind of object to your line of it's good they're buying time, because Afreeca didn't have any time. There were no minion waves they could get to because they kept dying to picks from Someday, picks from Score, picks from Fly and Hachani. But they've gotten that time from winning that last fight. They're building armor, so Randuin's now completed on Aurelia. Randuin's coming in for Rek'Sai. These are items Afreeca realistically should never have got access to because the game was so much tempo-wise with KT Rolster. So even though they're buying time, they're only buying time for KT to finish more damage items. So there still is that same world where one Ashe arrow and Songyun free hitting Afreeca still win a team fight.
This is very true. You see the Void Rush going to be used by Lyra, so this Cloud Drake does spawn up. Spots score with the Tremor Sense and shoots a Prey Seeker at him. Not going to be able to connect. Someday roaming up to this top side and looking for Linderong. Of course, will be able to interrupt. Both of them can interrupt with those stuns and try to stop the other from teleporting. Arrow gets used. Ooh. Nice flash away. That's like the last pixel there for Fly that he could have done that. Score will be able to hop out of the wall. Mickey fail flashes actually and is now in the pit. So 2 people going to be failing to get over that wall and results in a flash. And that should buy a little bit of time here for KT. Someday still up top. Linderong roaming down the lane, looking to just walk in and join his team. Dragon's down below half HP. KT have to play this really carefully. Arrow will, or rather the Ashe will be able to confirm that kill. TT's coming through, Mickey getting jumped on, Someday getting popped up like a bouncy ball. Has to dash out. Hachani as well going low. Mickey goes into the back line, finishes off Someday. He is out of the fight now. Arrow's going to go down. Fly looking to be the last one to fall. Afreeca Freecs with the ace coming through are going to push straight down mid and try to get as much as they can. It's 28 minutes in. Don't think they can finish, but they can definitely get an inhibitor or 2 off this push. Another fight
where Sangyun is free hitting, can flash aggressively to get kills. They in no way are answering the Ashe. They're not targeting her in fights. They're not targeting her with itemization. So Sangyun in the back, there's all this focus on Zilira. He takes damage, then Mickey gets into the back line, and it's another case of Vladimir doing the work. They just focus onto Someday. He has to back out, and even though Afreeca are falling low, this is just absolutely licking his lips from Sangyun. He flashes for the kill on the score. No one can turn around because the health values are so low. And Mickey on the sustained damage, Vlad, and just the fact that Sangyun's free hitting means another team fight win to Afreeca.
And this is looking like Afreeca are going to be able to close out this game. Inhibitor now down for KT in the mid side, and Afreeca finally swing themselves into a gold lead, albeit not a very large one, 1.4 thousand to their favor, but still looking really strong. Baron now respawned. This is going to be the battleground. This is going to be the stage for the end of this game, I feel.
I just love how Game 1 and Game 3 have been basically from dusk till dawn. You think you're getting one thing, you're like, all right, they're being smart, they're playing around, and then it just goes another way. I thought for sure Afreeca would take down Game 1. KT stole it away. I thought KT had set up super smart in this game, and Afreeca out of nowhere, 2 team fight wins. And a lot of it, I think, is on KT and just making questionable decisions and not focusing down that Ashe.
Is that a movie that you've seen from Dusk Till Dawn?
That's why I quoted a movie. I know you love movie references, Achilles.
I love that movie, especially. Robert Rodriguez is a very bizarre individual, but my God, if he doesn't make a
I realized I just spoiled Dusk Till Dawn. Sorry, guys.
Not really. You didn't mention. If you had said something about a certain character on the side of Afreeca, it might have helped give way to what happened in that movie. Of course, though, Baron being started up by Afreeca. This thing is getting absolutely shredded by Sangyun. It's down below half. Arrow comes out, locks up Someday. They're looking for a score, but it doesn't even matter. The spike gets confirmed there by Lyra. Mickey gets chunked out, but has a massive pop from the Hemo Blade coming through.
No flash on Lyra, so no way to initiate. Afreeca, man, one thing they have to take away, they are terribly bad at actually goalkeeping around these Barons. Every enemy jungler seems to get within smite range because they're just not using their resources to hold off. But with the minion wave pushing in mid, AT don't go for the contest. If Nidalee had died there, it could have been the end of the game. They reset, but what do they reset to? They're suddenly 3,000 gold behind in a game where 10 minutes ago they were in full control.
Yeah, this is just not a good spot here for KT to be in. Now second Baron going over to Afreeca, and you can be damn certain that they are going to make some strong pushes this time around and actually take some structures. Tier 2 up in top, looking like it's going to be the first target that they set their eyes on. Super Creep still pushing in to that mid lane where the inhibitor is down. Will be respawning soon, but that does still buy them a good amount of time. And Linderong, meanwhile, with that TP available, is splitting up bot. So Afreeca trying to push on all fronts and get as much of a lead as they can.
One champion that's been synonymous with victory this series has been the Vladimir. One of the reasons I talked about picking up that Trundle, apart from the strength of the champion, how he's a blocker to a lot of these carry top laners, disengage is not something KT have at all. Honestly, they're an engage-only team, and everyone flashing aggressively often means 5-man Hemo Plagues. Late game Vladimir, Death Cap in tow, does immense damage that so far has gone pretty unchecked as Ash
run away real fast like they're trying to do right now. Johnny does get locked up and gets out of the stun with the ultimate. We get stunned up now by the concussive blows, gets a pop-up onto Lyra and should be able to exit, but the Glacial Fissure comes through and they will be able to finish him off as Linderong finds the killing blow. TP gonna be canceled out by Someday. Certainly would have been a death sentence had he completed that one. And now Afreeca Freecs with the support down inside of KT. They're going to push in. Lyra goes in deep, pops up on the fly, who has to flash away. Out of respect, Someday going to get locked up in the concussive blow. There, Gage gets popped, but look at the damage from Songyun. Rips right through him, and score is going to follow. Now with these super creeps right in the mid lane, Afreeca Freecs are going to take down KT Rolster, or look to here at the 33-minute mark. Linderong dashing forward onto Arrow, who is desperately trying to clear out, but Songyun's still here. He's relatively healthy, and he has a hell of a lot of damage to offer up. The turret getting shredded. Hachani coming back in. Trying to take him down. Lyra has Void Rush back in full HP, getting shredded out by the Nexus. Now exposed, Songyun exhausted, just hammering away at this one, and Afreeca Freecs will take down KT Rolster 2-1. And a great way to kick off the summer split.
Just a crazy game. And yes, if that sets the tone for the second round robin, we're in for a treat. It was an interesting first round robin. And let me tell you, this storyline of the upsets continues. Afreeca Freecs upset a 5-series winning streak from the team that entered this, the top. I believe now they may actually go behind in game score of Rox Tigers, or at least give Rox Tigers even extra incentive against SK Telecom. In a few days' time, Vladimir ran away with this game, and KT will wonder how it happened because they were in such strong control of the early game. Once again, the exact parallel of what happened in game one, and the result goes against the team that controlled the flow for the first 25 minutes.
And KT, what a heartbreaking way to lose that match. Just not able to come out on top. They had control of it for so very long, but in the end, just not working out for them, and they get taken down. Just Songyun firing off so much damage in that fight around the Baron Pit, coming out on top. Just wonderfully played by him, coming up with the triple kill, and just really translating it. Looks like, there we go.
Backup camera.
So we have a backup camera.
Nice.
So now you guys can,
we're further away
spot
now.
Us. Yeah, we're a little bit further away. You can see the walls around us, but just had a little bit of an issue. But our crew diving right in, fixing it up very quickly.
Intrepid OGN crew.
Yep.
One camera is never enough. Second camera as the backup. But we can watch Dongjun and Cloud Templar too. That's cool also.
Kind of get an idea of what they're talking about. I'm guessing it's how KT managed to lose such a strong lead in that match.
They just kept pouring more and more gold into damage, and if they had a plan to catch out the Ashe instant killer, of course, full damage Ashe, very squishy, then maybe you can make it work. But instead, they were liberal. They built the Void stuff. They built the extra damage item on Renekton. And man, that was a hard carry performance from Songyun.
Yeah, it was. I was going to say I feel closer to all of you now. But, I mean, it was looking so good from the start. Someday with the Renekton melting Linderong.
But you saw the best and worst of Renekton, didn't you? Because Renekton dominant in lane. Anyone walks up under turret, he's like, I'll pop ult and be unkillable.
It makes no sense to me why you wouldn't build something like a Randuin's Omen. You could slice and dice your way into the back line, drop the AoE slow, and then the rest of your team crashes forward with On the Hunt.
Now, when you're so far ahead, I mean, the thing about Renekton that's brought him back into the meta, or at least the mini revivals he's had over the last year, is that if you go full damage, you're actually a threat. You can't go full tank Renekton like Wicked seasons ago because you just get trivialized very quickly. But it's always that tipping point. You can understand until they lost that fight, it felt pretty good going the build he was going, but then he didn't actually take that armor, as we're getting some interesting audio issues here. When you lose that first fight, you have to be like, oh crap, this Hurricane Infinity Edge Ashe is shredding me. I need to adjust. And he didn't adjust. He went for the Asterix Gauge. There was components of Avoid stuff, the Blasting One, the Amp Tome, and the Inventory of Rise. He didn't adjust either. Yeah. Both those guys needed to go for that first pick because they're actually pretty close range with their CC. Obviously, melee for Renekton. Flash Rune Prison is usually how Rise has to get in. And with no armor, they will answer the slaughter for Ashe.
Yeah, they just got taken down. So our 7th place team now, Afreeca Freecs, do get a win. I don't think they move up. I think they now have a -2 standing.
They are 5-5.
Yeah, but they do equalize their game score. They neutralize that, but not really going to move up the ranks quite yet. Still have a little bit of a ways to go. I think the next team's game score is at a +0, but of course, who else was it going to be? Your MVP there for Game 3 is Songyun with a wonderful performance on that Ashe, 9-1-5, only dying once in that entire time.
And the season in general is still echoing the spring season, Achilles, because beating SKT started the rise for Afreeca in their spring season, and now in summer season, beating MVP that was on the rise, beating the Rockstar, losing to the Rockstars, but beating SK Telecom,
yep.
and now beating KT Rolster. Can they actually grind the victories over the lower ranked teams? Because that's where you can't really guarantee it for Afreeca. But they've always been a handful for SKT, and now increasingly for all of the top teams.
Afreeca sort of matching the mantle of Jin Air, you could say. They can win against these teams that you never expect them to win against, but at the same time, sometimes they just lose to the teams that they never should lose to.
But which exactly is the team in LCK Summer that doesn't lose to the teams that you might not expect them to?
That's a good point.
Expectations have been poisonous this season, because every time, we start the season with SKT looking like a perfect season, and then they lose 3 sets out of 4.
Yeah.
We start the season with MVP, and you're like, I don't know about Maha. And look, we still don't really know about Maha, but I don't know about this squad, only 5 players. And then they just defy all our expectations.
Yeah.
This season has been subverting of expectations every week, and it's not the same team. That's the crazy thing, is that every time we're like, wait, all the KT Rolster fans were like, is it safe to come out now? 5 sets in a row? We already beat Afreeca to start this role.
Yeah.
No, go back to your homes, KT fans. Monty, I know you're out there. I know you're watching. I don't know about this KT.
I'm sorry, buddy.
Man.
I'll bring you a beer on the way home. But you mentioned MVP. We do actually get that rematch of them versus SK Telecom just a week from today. So next Monday will be them, and we'll see how much they've learned and how much SKT has learned.
Well, I mean,
in
SKT,
this downtime.
but no one knows where SKT will be at in a week's time, because
Yeah.
they play Rocks and now KT, and the KT series is suddenly very interesting.
Yeah,
because
this could really go
baby.
either way. I don't know what's going to happen, but we have a good amount of matches coming up for the rest of the week. Of course, it's going to be Longzhu versus MVP tomorrow. That's going to close it out from us tonight, though. So on behalf of myself, Papa Smithy, and the rest of the OGN Legion broadcast crew, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow.